Back on. Let's do another invoice problem, which will be the same one we just did, except the other scenario. Let's say Jolene sells mugs for $5 and t-shirts for $12. And she has total sales of, what was it, $378? She has total sales of $378. Now, last time we said she sold 3 times as many mugs as t-shirts. This time, they're going to tell it to us a different way. They're still going to ask for both these things. One of them's still going to be X, the other one's going to be something else with X in it. But now, they're not going to tell us which one sold more. They're going to say, she sold 56 mugs and t-shirts. Okay. They're not going to tell us which one sold more. They're going to tell us how many of them they sold all together. Now, in this situation, where does this 56 go? It actually goes at the bottom of this column, doesn't it? That's the total quantity. In this situation, they don't tell us what was more. They tell us the total quantity. So this is the other way they can tell us the problem. So the invoice problem, they'll either tell us one sold this many times as much as the other, or they'll tell us what the total quantity was. Now, let's pretend we knew one of these. What if we knew that we sold 1 mug? If we have to sell a total of 56 items, how many t-shirts would we have to sell? 55. That's correct. How did you get that using these two numbers? We subtracted, didn't we? We said 56 minus this thing, right? Total quantity minus this one gives us the other one. What if we sold 4 mugs? How would we find the number of t-shirts? It'd be 56 minus 4, wouldn't it? What if we sold 24 mugs? It'd be 56 minus 24. What if we sold this many mugs, X mugs? It'd be 56 minus X. Okay? Whatever we sold of one of them, we subtract that from the total. And that's how we get the other one. Okay? This is a technique that's very helpful. If you're not sure what to do when it's X, just figure out what you would do if you knew what it was. And then do the same thing if it's X. Okay? Now, does it matter which one we let be X and which one we let be 56 minus X? Technically it doesn't, but there's one way we can do it that makes the numbers easier. Notice if we're going to multiply across here, well, by the way, here's the other trick. We're going to have to put parentheses around this thing because that's one number. When we multiply by 12, we're going to have to multiply the 12 times the 56 and the 12 times the minus X. Okay. It's called distribution, distributing. When you have something outside parentheses, you've got to multiply both of things inside parentheses. Now, this is the hardest problem in the whole semester. There's only one of them on the test. Actually, there'll be 2 on the test. You'll work one of them and tell me the answers. You'll just set up the other one and show me the equation. Okay. Don't have to solve. So, don't panic. I've had a number of students that told me, oh my gosh, I was about to drop the class. Because after chapter 5 and 6, I thought, if this is the beginning of the course, what's going to happen at the end of the course? But I want to tell you, this class is the opposite of most classes. It starts in chapter 1, real simple, and gets harder up to chapter 6. But chapters 1 through 4, everybody is supposed to already have had in basic math. And in fact, 5 and 6, we've had some of that in basic math as well. But here's the deal. chapters 5 and 6 are so important to the rest of the semester that that's why I start with them. If you know 5 and 6, the rest of the semester, all we do is we say, see this new thing? It's just like that thing we did back there in chapter 6, only now we're calling it something different. Instead of calling it a percent increase, we're going to call it a markup on cost. But the math is exactly the same. Instead of calling it a percent increase, we're going to call it a sales tax. That's exactly the same math as a percent increase. Instead of calling it a percent decrease, we're going to call it a trade discount. But the math is exactly the same. So I've had a number of students tell me, boy, once we got past chapter, I thought the first test was the hardest thing in the whole semester. And in some ways, that's true. Because we're learning everything in 5 and 6 that we're going to need to work everything else in the semester. Okay, so I just want to tell you that to encourage you, so you won't get discouraged and think, oh my gosh, if this is the first chapter, what's going to happen later? I don't think it gets any harder. I honestly don't. It's the hardest thing, it's the first 2 chapters. Okay, now, let me ask you this. If you had your choice between multiplying 12 times 56 or 5 times 56, wouldn't you rather have the smaller number? Yeah. So, when they tell us